Hey guys, sorry I'm a little late. Somebody came by talking about something. Wait a few more minutes here. See if anybody else shows up. Help if I had my headphones plugged in. There we go. Logan, are you excited to stay home tomorrow, or does it not even really make a difference at this point with how much you've stayed home? Doesn't make any difference to you guys, does it? Ethan and Cammy, same old, just different schedule. Well, you could be at home all the time if you wanted, Logan, or do your parents prefer for you to be here? I don't know. Ethan, Cammy, do you guys get sick of being at home? Would you kind of rather be here if it was possible? Or do you feel like you do okay? No? You like being home? Well, I'm glad it's working for you. I'm pretty sure we're going to stick with this system through the end of the year, it's looking like, so, with how slow the vaccine is rolling out and stuff. One more minute. Oh, is that your sister? Hey, how are you? How many years ago was it?
I'm good. How are you?
How many years ago was it?
I'm a sophomore in college now.
So 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. How you doing?
Good.
Where
School's
where
interesting.
where are you? Are you doing school remotely?
I'm at UC, but like I'm in early childhood. Our preschool practicum got canceled, so we're all online.
Okay, yeah, that's what I figured. That sucks for you, man.
I try.
Hopefully, back to normal next year. Right? Are you gonna do any classes over the summer?
No, the way the program is, you have to like follow the exact schedule, and it's only in spring and fall.
Did you say early childhood education? Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
No, you gonna be an elementary school teacher?
Yes, I want to teach. Well, I'm stuck between preschool. I work with preschool now, but
Mm-hmm.
then I like fifth grade also. So I don't know
Gotcha.
which one.
Well, good luck with that. Maybe it's better this is happening now instead of when you're starting your teaching career, because that would suck.
I know. I'm happy. Let's get it through.
Cool. Good to see you, Deanna. Okay, I think we can get started here. Okay, routine stuff. There we go. Vocab lesson 14. That was posted and needs to be completed by Thursday night. Okay, usual stuff. Grammar lesson 13, which was posted yesterday. That is due by tomorrow night. Okay, so make sure and keep up with your routine stuff. I'm still holding off on starting some literature because I'm feeling like people are really dragging their feet getting this outline done. I did move the deadline by one date. Is that a relief to hear? It's due Thursday night. Not going to move it again, okay? Because I want to be able to kind of wrap that up this week. So next week we can work on actually writing the paper. How are you guys doing with your outlines? I have not looked today. The thesis is in there, right? Are the quotes in there? So, Ethan. Now, if you have all your quotes, are you having trouble organizing them into 3 supporting points? Is that kind of the barrier?
Yeah, the three slots they confuse me. It's just
Well, you have to come up with your own 3 things that you're going to use to defend your thesis depending on the information that you found. But what you have to keep in mind, what you sometimes have to do is you have to go back to the articles and get more stuff, right? If you think to yourself, oh, wait, maybe there's some stuff on this, I want to make this point. Well, you can't make that point unless you have quotes to support it, right? It doesn't take that long to just kind of go back and browse the articles that you had, or go back and get new art. I don't care if you go get new articles. I mean, that's not a big deal. In the end, you'll have to make a works cited thing for it with EasyBib.
Yeah.
But I mean, that takes like 2 seconds once you've done it once. So don't get stuck and just, sit there and say, I can't do this, and then let the deadline pass. Okay. We want to get this thing done. So, okay. So you guys are most of the way through that. Now, have you guys started kind of filling in your topic sentences and introduce a point before the quote and comment after the quote, like I showed in the video? Okay. It sounds like maybe that's where we are. Okay. So I'm not going to go through that again because I showed that all in the video. It's really just kind of repeating and elaborating on the things that you said in the thesis. Okay, so do you understand that the 3 body paragraphs represent the 3 things that you said in your thesis? You know that, right? Right. So the topic sentence of the first body paragraph should say, the first way this is a big problem is this. Second body paragraph, topic sentence. Another way this is a big problem is because of this. And then third body paragraph, lastly, another way this is a problem is because of this. And then underneath each one of those, you introduce a quote. You introduce a fact topic quote, you give the quote, and then the commentary on it is when you're saying this shows that this is the case, right? It's okay if it sounds a little bit redundant in your wording. I'm not really worried about that. I just want you guys to be able to organize an argument, put it together. Last thing in the world I'm going to pick on you about is sounding a little bit repetitive, so really don't worry about that. And then you also notice how after each quote you want to put in parentheses the source that it came from. That's a parenthetical reference. Okay, you want to do that in the outline, and then we don't have to worry about doing that. See, do you see that if you do the outline completely, that to actually write the paper, all you really need to do is copy and paste each thing out of each box into like a regular Google Doc, and then format it like paragraphs, and that's it. So that's why doing this outline like this so purposefully with all the little boxes is important, because it makes writing the paper easy. Okay, now there's one thing left to do. I'm recording this, so I'm going to consider this the video for showing, and that is an opening device to lead up to your thesis and a closing device to close out your paper. So let me go back. Actually, let me screen share. Go back to the document that I do have in there that shows you some ways of doing that. Work. Everybody saw that the recent video I posted is its own post here, right? I just want to make sure everybody saw that. I was afraid if I attached it to the outline, people might not notice it was there. So, but you guys said you watched that, right? Certainly hope so. Okay. On the outline post is argumentative devices. So back on the outline, at the very beginning, there's this little slot for opening device, right? And at the end, a slot for a closing device. So in the introduction, you use an opening device to lead up to your thesis. So this is a paragraph here, right? And the conclusion, after repeating your thesis, you got to close up with something else. So it's basically an entertaining or attention-grabbing way to start a paper and to end a paper. So some ways of doing that. The following are options for opening and or closing devices. Sometimes you can use, you can touch on the same technique for your opening device and then come back to it for your closing device. That's fine sometimes. There are ways to hook your readers indirectly, something broad or entertaining or insightful or shocking besides just starting off with your big argument. Use it to build up to your thesis, which then turns the paper and reader towards your argument. Okay, so one way you can do that is a generalization about some aspect of human nature. Try discussing the type of issue your paper will be about in a general sense without writing about yourself. This makes the reader understand and maybe relate to a common issue, problem, experience, and then you can bring the reader in stating your thesis. Now, how would we do that? That would probably be something like, many people in society are sensitive about having their rights or civil liberties limited or infringed, right? They don't like to be told what to do. They like to be independent. Okay, that's without talking about masks and social distancing. You're bringing up the type of issue that we have here, right? And then you could go on for 2-3 sentences like that, just kind of hypothetically discussing it, and then that leads up to your thesis, and then you're good to go. Okay, that's one way you could do it. Startling statistic. You could catch your reader's attention with a stat having to do with the type of problem you're discussing. This would only apply to a narrow range of topics, but if it applies, this would work. Now, you could definitely put a startling statistic to begin this paper, couldn't you? What's an obvious choice? Come off share for a second here. What's an obvious choice for a startling statistic that you could find involving the pandemic in general? Things having to do with social distancing and masks. A number. What would be a startling number to throw at your reader to start this paper? Come on, guys. That's easy. The number of what? Chat or unmute? You tell me. Can't think of any startling numbers that we could find through research about the pandemic. How about the number of deaths that have happened in this country as a result of the pandemic, or the number of cases in the country, or the number of cases in Ohio, or the number of deaths worldwide, or the number of cases worldwide? All those things are easy to find, at least as far as estimates, right? Especially if you get it from the CDC or WHO or something like that. So that's an easy way to start your paper and just say, you know, bring in that stat and say, you know, this shows the importance, the significance of this issue, and that leads up to your thesis, and there you go. Okay, so what are the other two ways? So that's two: generalization about human nature, startling statistic. Okay, a hypothetical or a real anecdote. Try telling a small story or a typical hypothetical one that would demonstrate the problem. You could tell a little. Check my chat here. I was going to say death, but I wasn't sure about sure. Yeah. You could tell like a little piece of a story of a typical situation, right? What would be an example of a typical situation that's problematic involving social distancing and masks that you could like illustrate as a way to open your paper?
Could it be like when we first started the pandemic?
Sure. Many people didn't realize as the pandemic started that we would be advised that people in the country would be advised to wear masks and social distance for the better part of a year, maybe even more than a year, right? That would kind of reflect the history of it. Or you could say a hypothetical one would sound something like a man walks into a place of business, right? Not wearing a mask because he doesn't want to. The store owner asks him to, points out the sign, and they get in a fight. Something like that, right? Because that's people not wanting to do that. Or a family goes to a sporting event. They're outside. They feel like they're safe. They go sit in the stands with like dozens of people, and they're side by side and yelling and things like that. You know, it doesn't have to be a real story, but like a fake story that kind of brings up the problem that you're going to illustrate. Okay. And remember, these are not all things you have to do. You just choose one of these for just a brief intro to your paper, and you put it in there briefly just to show me you've at least decided, and then you're good. Finally, a memorable quote. Okay, so this come from your research, especially if it's like a statement by an actual expert that an author from one of your articles is quoting. You know, say they quote like Dr. Fauci or something like that. That would be good. Or they could be quoting President Trump, or they could be quoting Biden or something like that, depending on what you find. So if you have or can find a quote from an expert or someone adversely affected, or just someone who is in charge of trying to regulate all this, right? Like DeWine, Governor DeWine, Governor of Ohio would be a good one too. And you could just kind of throw that out, comment on that, and then go up to your thesis. Okay, so any of those can be used as a way to start your paper. So what I would want to see there is, for instance, startling statistic. Number of deaths in Ohio is blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you don't have to write it all out in a big paragraph, but show me you've decided. Don't just write startling statistic, you know, be specific. What are you putting there? Same thing down here, okay? You could connect back to what you used to open, you know, or you could do something different. And that's it, guys. Okay, we've talked about every single part of this outline between the videos I've shown and in this one here, which I'll post. So why don't you guys look at your stuff now? We still have like 15 minutes left of class, okay? So I'm gonna turn off my video. Okay, you can turn off your video too, but hang around at least for a little bit, especially you, Ethan, if you're having trouble kind of organizing your quotes, and then feel free to like pop any questions in the chat while you work and use this time and don't hide from getting this thing done, okay? And if you feel like you reach a stopping point, you don't have to ask, you can just pop off.